everyone. So we're here in Epiphany or the beginning of Epiphany, and we're thinking about, first of all, journeys. We went to Southampton over New Year to visit Rachel's parents for over the New Year, about 250 miles, and it's a journey. It's a journey, especially when they shut the road. And did anyone go any further than that this Christmas? Anyone go beyond these shores, to Europe or anywhere? I think it was probably generally a good idea not to go anywhere with all the strikes. But we read that the wise men, the Magi, came from the east. They came to Jerusalem. It doesn't say where, but we know it's probably a long way. They've been traveling for many months, and they've come, and they're looking for someone. And so we're just going to explore a little bit about who they are looking for today. And I've got a few props, and in fact, the kids want to shut this up. So what is this? Crown, that's right. And who wears a crown? King, that's right. King, that's right. So here's a question. What does a king do? And maybe thinking a bit more back in the past, because it's a bit more complicated now. But if we think of a king, what does a king do? What's a king responsible for? What do we think? He rules his kingdom. Okay, he rules his kingdom. He's a leader. That's right. What else? Have you? He rules the country. That's right. What about if he has an enemy? What does he do if he has an enemy? Kill him. Yeah, that's right. Or he goes out to war. Kings lead their armies. They do that less so now. I think the last time a British king rode out to war was George II in the 18th century. So I don't think Charles will be doing that anytime soon. King Solomon. What's King Solomon best known for? What did King Solomon do? Yes, that's true. He had lots of wives, but he built something really big. Built temple, that's right, he built the temple. And that was a thing. In the ancient world, the kings were responsible for, if you like, for making God happy. And Solomon wanted to honor God, and he wanted to do something grand. And so he built this temple so that the people could go and worship God. And he was responsible, if you like, for leading his people in worship. If you like, as the king goes, so the people go. And we read of how the Magi came to Jerusalem, and they were asking for the one who has been born King of the Jews. So they were looking for someone who would fit sort of all these criteria. The question is, well, what happened to the kings of Israel? And this was the thing, that there was no king of Israel at that point. Herod, bless him, great acting, Graham, thank you. But he wasn't a Jew. He wasn't an Israelite king. He was a Roman puppet king. He wasn't a king, and that's why he was so disturbed. He thought, oh gosh, who's going to come and take my throne? But the kings of Israel they were long gone, because the thing is that there was no king that had made those good decisions. Every king of Israel had been bad kings. Even Solomon, as we know from his many wives, turned out to be not a very good king. And ultimately, when Jesus was born, there was no king. The Jews were ruled by the Romans. So the wise men, when they say they were looking for the king of the Jews, they're saying we're looking for the true king. We're looking for the king who will rule his people and who will honor God, who will make God happy. Make God happy. Okay. They're looking for a king. So, second thing, can we guess? Can we see what this is? This little, Alex, what's that? A sheep, that's right, yes. I couldn't find a crook, and I couldn't find a bigger sheep, so thank you to the Nativity for that. A sheep, all right. So Herod hears about this search for the new king. And as we saw, he was not happy. He was not. Who's come to take my throne away? And so he asks his advisors, they say, he asks, what does this mean? And they point back to this prophecy from the book of Micah, something written many, many years before. And it had been written, "But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people, Israel." He'll be the shepherd of my people. What does a shepherd do? What does a shepherd do? Henry, yeah. Looks after his sheep, that's right. Looks after his sheep. And he cares for, protects, makes sure that they have food and water. Many years before Jesus was born, God spoke these words through a prophet named Ezekiel. And he said he was like a shepherd. God said, as a shepherd looks after his scattered sheep when he is with them, so I'll look after my sheep. I will rescue them. God says he's like a shepherd. God says he's come to care for and rescue his people like a shepherd rescues the sheep. But isn't it interesting here that Jesus is given that same name, isn't he? Jesus is given the one who is the shepherd of my people, Israel. I don't know, we can kind of, if we think God is called the good shepherd, Jesus himself says, "I am the good shepherd." Draw the dots there. What is that saying about who Jesus is? That's saying about who Jesus is. If God is the good shepherd and Jesus is the good shepherd, Jesus is God. That's right. So here we have this actually really profound, incredible prophecy that probably Herod would have made Herod even more nervous and angry. But actually also, he completely missed it. Because ultimately, there's nothing that he could have done to oppose the God of the universe coming as the good shepherd to rescue his people. So the wise men are looking for a king. They're looking for a shepherd. And as they journeyed and they found him, who did they find? This is a little prop. Who has a little sippy cup? People under a certain age. Babies, children, that's right. Yeah. We read as they traveled from Jerusalem, they followed the star to Bethlehem. They came to the house and they saw the child. They saw the child. And we know that the Son of God who has come, who is the one who is the looked for king, the looked for good shepherd, he comes like you and me. He is born as one of us. He's experienced everything we've experienced. Heartache, joy, sadness, hunger. So there's one thing. The writer to the Hebrews says this. He says, he was like us in every way, but he was without sin. That is, he was perfect. Jesus always did the right thing. He came, and if you like, he wasn't crowned on earth, but he was the perfect king. He was the most just and wonderful leader. That's why the crowds followed him to the end. And that's why the wise men gave those gifts. We listened to those gifts. There's 3 gifts. Gifts of, can we list them out? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. That's right, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The gold and the frankincense represent his kingly status and actually his priestly status, but we can discuss that later. But the myrrh, that's an interesting one, isn't it? What is myrrh? What did people use for myrrh for in the ancient world? We know. To do with death, yeah. Embalming, yeah. It's anointing a dead body. To anoint a dead body. So isn't that interesting? So they bring these gifts fit for a king, but they also bring these I don't know, they're spices, I guess, to anoint a dead body. That would be a bit strange if someone brought to your kid's baptism some great incense. Okay, I'm not sure what to do with that. Myrrh. Myrrh. Apparently has some sort of homeopathic properties. But I suspect in those days, people would have known what that meant. So the question is, why did the wise men bring myrrh? They had come on this journey looking for the king, looking for the good shepherd, and they brought myrrh. Because ultimately, Jesus was born in order to die for you That is why Jesus came. He was perfect, but he gave his life. He gave his perfect life so that you and I could have the life of God, that we could be reconciled to God, that we would be he would take all the bad things that we've done, all the sins, so that we could be friends with God again. He came to die for us. And that's ultimately when we accept him as a king and shepherd, that he becomes the one who lives in us and who guides us and who gives us strength. And ultimately we can learn and follow him because we have our Bibles in front of us. He helps us to know all about him because we have these words, these wonderful, wonderful words, which you wouldn't know anything about Jesus apart from these words. And so I'm going to just finish now, but we're going to do a memory verse. I know Henry was quite excited about this. A memory verse, just to remind us about the significance of the story today. And it's this, it's from John chapter 10. It's Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays his life down for the sheep. John chapter 10, verse 11. I'll say that again. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays his life down for the sheep. John chapter 10, verse 11. Shall we try it? Shall we try it together? Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays his life down for the sheep. John chapter 10, verse 11. Let's try it again. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays his life down for the sheep. John chapter 10, verse 11. All right, one more time. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good lays his life down for the sheep. John chapter 10, verse 11.